وأصحابه أجمعين. Today, inshallah, we'll continue on with Tafseer of ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 30. The ayah that talks about the creation of Adam, alayhi salam. Last time we were discussing 3 points of the ayah, of the whole issue and the discussion. And we said today, inshallah, we'll continue with another 2 points of the discussion of the theory of the evolution. The 2 points today will be speaking about opinions of Muslim today regarding the creation of Adam, and the last point, which is point number 5, will be rules on how to understand the Quran if contradicting some scientific theories. So the first point today that we'll talk about how the Muslimin today understanding this evolution theory and how they understanding or try to understand the creation of Adam alayhi salam based on the scientific or the scientific theories that are available today in the world. Yes, last time when I gave that session last week, someone asked me why do we have to discuss this theory where it's been proven wrong even in the West, and there are many evidences that this theory is not correct anymore, and it's been proven wrong by many scholars. Why do we have to discuss it in that depth? The reason why we actually discussing this is for many reasons. Number one is the theory itself is still given in the West and still taught at the schools, at the universities, in the books, in the biology books, in many fields, and it's never been removed from their literatures at all. Secondly, it has been taught also in the Islamic countries, in the Muslim land, among the Muslimin. They've been also given the same theory, and people been studying this theory at schools, and that's why many Muslims, they got affected by this theory, and they actually, some of them, they buy into it and they believe in it in a way or another, and it's becoming very dangerous because it starts shaking the faith, the belief of the mu'mineen, of the Muslims themselves, and some of them actually they have left Islam completely, and it's been approached and been distributed among the Muslimin and been taught in a very effective way that many Muslims actually were deceived by this idea. That's why we wanted to address it very clearly to make sure we have a good understanding of the Quran and how is that Islamic that are many Muslims, they have bought these ideas, and there are not too many Muslims in the Muslim land defending the other way and defending Islam and Quran in a different way or in a correct way to clarify it. And when I was looking into this the discussion in the Muslim culture, I found there are 3 types of people who are discussing this idea or this evolution theory. Some of them, or some type of the Muslims who never pay attention or never even try to understand what the theory is or what they're saying, and when they translate the ayat that talks about the creation of Adam alayhi salam, they just take the old scholars' opinion as is, without any touch and any theory or anything going on in the Muslim world. And that's one side of the scholars today, or what so-called scholars today. That's one side of them, as they are not living in this world at all. So they just read and talk about the translation or the tafsir of the old ulama or the old scholars. Another type of Muslims today, what's so-called dua, the one who are having a lot of websites, and some of them have like a YouTube channels. They are trying to compromise between the Quranic and Quranic meaning of this ayat of creation of Adam alayhi salam and the theory, the evolution theory together, and they try to make agreement between the Quran and the evolution theory. And those people, there are two type of people. One of them, some of them they don't. So Ahmed, are you there? Hello?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, because I have seen the video been stopped. I don't know why.
It's because the bandwidth it's not that good. Let's stop the video for a couple of minutes. I'll re-enable again.
Oh, so should I continue or what?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so the other type of Muslims are this type of Muslimin who try to understand the theory. They are two types. One of them, they don't really understand the Quran itself in the right way. Some of them, they don't understand the theory itself in the right way, and their understanding is a very old understanding, and it does not it's not really updated, up to date on the latest information about this theory. Another type of Muslimin, they actually just take the theory as is without trying to understand what the Quran says, and they don't care if it contradicts the Quran or not, and they take it as is because they believe in science, and they take the science as is, and they believe in it, and they reject the ayat completely, and they say this is like an old understanding, and it's an old ayat, meaning that's not applied to our life today, and they don't accept it completely. So that's this type of people who are actually away, they've been away from Islam. So now there is another type who try to compromise and make the agreement between the ayat and this theory. Those people based their understanding on some ayat. In fact, the main ayah that they use in it to make the agreement between the theory and the Quran, they said in the Quran, Allah says, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ بَدَأَ الْخَلْقِ. Allah says in the Quran, go ahead and travel in the land and look how Allah has initiated the creation. So they saying, Allah telling us to search and look for the initial creation on earth, and this is why we understand how the creation happened, and this is what science says today. This is how the creation happened on earth. Now there is one Muslim scholar who actually wrote a book about the theory. His name is Abdul Sabur Shaheen, and he wrote that book in 1992. This scholar he's a professor in Arabic language, and he's thinking that he could merge or compromise between the Quran understanding and the theory. I was reading his book, and in the introduction of his book, he's saying, today we are living in a world that there is scientific evidences, that undefeatable evidences that the creation of Adam, or the creation of the humans on earth, it happened before Adam alayhi salam, and we cannot these facts. We cannot defend or defeat these facts. It's undefeatable facts. So we have to go with it. So the understanding of the Muslimin, or the old scholars, like the old days, it needs to be updated. So he's saying, therefore, I decided to write this book to make a new understanding of the ayat of the Quran. Now, when he tried to make this new understanding, he based it on two ayahs in the Quran. Ayah number one, he said, in the ayah where it says إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين. Allah have chosen or has chosen Adam and Nuh and Ibrahim and Al Imran. So he say in the Arabic, now he's coming from the Arabic perspective here. He says when Allah says he have chosen Adam, that means he have chosen him among different creations. So that means there are people before Adam, and that's why Allah have chosen Adam alayhi salam to be selected or to be the chosen, or to be the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's saying based on this ayah says that because of this selection from Allah, that means there must be some creation before Adam. Now by even if this meaning possibly could be, but the meaning when you read the translation from the ulama, they're saying this selection of Adam, when Allah have chosen Adam, that means he have chosen him among the rest of his creation, and he said have chosen Adam among the other creations, from the malaika, from the other creations, the animals, from the rest of the creation on earth. So Adam himself was selected. Does not mean, and that's what the scholars, when they translate the ayah or explain the meaning of the ayah, they saying Allah have chosen Adam among the other creations, and this what chosen means. It doesn't necessarily mean that some people were created or humans been before Adam. So that's his misunderstanding, or he actually trying to twist the meaning of the ayah just to match the theory. The other meaning, the other ayah that he actually used, he says إن مثل عيسى عند الله كمثل آدم خلقه من تراب ثم قال له كن فيكون. So he used the meaning that the ayah says in the example of Isa alayhi salam is similar to the example of Adam alayhi salam, that Allah has created him from clay, and then ثم قال له كن فيكون, then he said be, and he was. Now he said the word thumma, or the letter thumma here, it means it could be extended period between the creation of Adam alayhi salam and then to be a human. So he say thumma, it could mean extended for a minute, or it could be a period for an hour, or it could be for days, it could be for years or hundreds of years, or maybe millions of years. So he say this word or this letter give us the meaning that it doesn't mean that Allah directly and immediately created Adam from clay. It could be extended for millions of years. So that means there must be creation before Adam alayhi salam, and they evolved to become and to reach the level of Adam. That's his understanding. And as we said, he uses the Arabic meaning just to justify the theory itself. And the meaning doesn't say anyways that Allah has created Adam and evolved, or Adam himself was evolved from something else. In fact, this ayah, it says clearly, this ayah itself is an evidence that Allah has created Adam from no father or mother, as he created Isa alayhi salam from no father. This is very clearly, in fact, all the ulama, if you read the translation of this ayah, all of them, they're saying this is an evidence that Adam was created from no mother and no father, which means he was a special created, and he was immediately, as Allah has ordered and commanded, and he said kun, and then he was. So now his work in this book, it was a big failure, because many Muslims at the time of that book, they were against it, and they there were 4 lawyers who were actually sue the man, and they tried to pull out and withdraw the book out of the market, and they took him to the court. However, the judge actually ruled for him, and they agreed to keep the book. But it was a very big problem at the time, and there were many people, they wrote actually a book against this book to explain that this book has a lot of mistakes. In fact, he was using a lot of theories in the book based on a misguiding information and wrong information. Like one of the information that he mentioned, he said the age of the earth is 171 billion years, which is way incorrect, and it's bigger than even the earth of the universe itself. So the person, that person, my point here, that scholar, he was a scholar in Arabic language, but he was very ignorant in the theory itself. He has no idea. He just heard some information from here and there, and he doesn't understand how this theory works and what is the meaning of the theory and what people were talking about it, what the science itself actually were proving the theory is incorrect. He did not even look at this. He just been affected by the atmosphere in the whole area, that yes, this is a very strong and solid evidence of the creation of Adam. So this is an example of someone who was ignorant in that field, even though he was very knowledgeable in the Arabic language, and that's one of the examples. Another example, also, some people they actually recently, and this is not old, this is new, and nowadays there are so many people they have a channel on YouTubes and other media. They trying to impose this idea on the Muslimin. Even on some of them, they have channels on Al Jazeera channels. They trying to impose this idea on the Muslimin and trying to convince them that this theory does not contradict the Quran, and this actually means that Allah, the way that Allah is creating, He is using the evolution method for His creation. So basically saying Allah has created the first cell, and He make it evolve on its own until things evolve from the cell until it reaches Adam. And they're trying to twist the ayat and the meaning of the ayat as well. And some of them, as we said, some of them actually were sincere, and I would call this doctor, he was sincere, but he was ignorant, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, especially from the theory side. Some of them, they're not actually sincere. They're purposely doing this, and they know what they're doing, and they try to deceive the Muslimin. And in fact, there are a big number of young Muslims today. They actually left Islam because of those type of people who trying to deceive the youth about this theory. And there are so many. Unfortunately, it's a big work against Islam, and that's one of the main effect and influence on the Muslim Ummah today. So that's why I wanted to address this theory here in this ayat and try to understand how this go with the Islamic meaning itself. Now, number 2 of the discussion is the rules on how to understand Quran when there is or sounds like there is a contradiction between the theory, or what they call it scientific facts, and that contradicting the ayat of the Quran. Now, first of all, let's understand something here, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created this universe and the man and earth. He created the entire universe with everything on it, with the life and the humans and everything. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed the Quran. And the Quran, it's all facts, and it's all correct, and it's all approved and evidence, and there is no doubt that this Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لا يأتيه الباطل من بين يديه ولا من خلفه. So this Quran does not have any issues, whether from the front or the back. No matter what, this Quran is absolutely true. This Quran is absolutely correct, and it's completely from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah in the other ayat says, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. What you have been given from the knowledge is very few. So the knowledge of the human comparing to the knowledge of Allah is nothing, is not, it cannot be compared. So these facts, based on these facts, if we believe in the Quran, that the Quran is all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's all correct and it cannot be wrong, exactly like we're saying there are facts in the science today that tell us this is a fact and it cannot be wrong. Now, that there is no way to have any contradicting between the reality or the scientific facts and the Quran. There is no way, because both of them are the creation, or they're the source of both of them. They are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The creation of the earth and the life and the universe from Allah, and the Quran is from Allah. So there is no way that any of them will contradict. That's number one, and this has to be very clear. Now, the Quran, and now when we say Quran, also we mean the Quran and the Sunnah. But here we're talking about the Quran because most of the people who trying to deceive the Muslimin, they use in the ayat from the Quran. Even some of them, they use in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and the hadith sahih. But our focus today is about the Quran. The Quran has two types of ayat. Number one is al-muhkam. Al-muhkam is the ayat that has one meaning, and those are the pillars of the Quran. Those are the foundation of the Quran. And those has no other meaning, and Allah put those ayat in the Quran to give only one meaning and one understanding, and it's called al-muhkam. Al-muhkam, which means the secure. So those ayat are secured, and those ayat specifically talking about the aqidah and the life after, and the Jannah and the Nar, and the creation of the malaika and the jinn and other things. And there is another type which is al-mutashabih. Al-mutashabih is the similar ayat, the ayat that has similar meanings, which could be understood in different ways based on the different understanding of the language, or different understanding of the reality. So people could understand it different ways. So the Quran has this type of ayat, which is al-muhkamat, the secure, the one meaning, and the other type of ayat, which is al-mutashabih, that could be understood and interpreted in different ways. Now, when we have scientific facts or scientific theories that contradict or might contradict some of the ayat of the Quran, number one, it might not be understood the right way. And again, we said there is no way that facts in science could contradict the definite meaning, which is the muhkam of the Quran. There is no way. And if it happens, let's assume that somehow this has happened. If this has happened, there must be a misunderstanding between the ayat and the reality. Definitely, someone who's trying to understand the ayat based on this reality, he did not understand it correctly. So there will be a mismatch between the ayat and the reality. But those ayat mutashabihat, which has a different meaning, now many people, they try to use the scientific way of proving the Quran today, just to prove that the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And unfortunately, they try to use the ayat of the Quran in every way just to prove that see, the Quran has a lot of scientific information, a lot of scientific evidences. So that's why this is a very dangerous way of trying to put the Quran in every field just to prove that the Quran is correct. Quran, as we said, does not need to be put or involved in any other field. That's not meant to be, because the Quran is a book of hidayah. Like ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه, Allah says ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. So this book is a guidance book. It's not a science book, it's not a physics book, it's not any other book. This book is a guidance book, which means it has rules from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our life. So if there is something looks like contradicting, so first of all we have to go to the Arabic meaning of the ayat, because this is how the Sahaba and this is how the Arab would understand the meaning of the ayat. Trying to change the Arabic meaning to fit and to match the reality, this is very dangerous, because if it happens, it will cause suspect and doubt in the Quran itself. And I will bring one example here about this contradicting. So in 1965, there was a doctor or a scholar, what's so-called scholar. He was trying to prove that the Quran has a scientific evidence, and he used the ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah, I think, that it says تستبدلون الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير. So the ayah talks about the Bani Israel when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them from the vegetarian instead of the birds that they were eating, so they said they wanted to get that type of food, and then Allah told them by Musa alayhi salam, أتستبدلون الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير. Do you replace the better or the good with the lower food? So now he said this ayah is a scientific evidence of the Quran. How is that? Because in the 1965 there is a British magazine. They have a study, and the study says that the vegetarian, the protein from the meat, the protein from animals is better for the humans than the protein or the vegetarian protein, because the vegetarian protein would take long time to be digested, and this and that, and the conclusion of the study was saying that the animal protein is better than the vegetarian protein. And he said this proved that this ayah is correct, and this is what the science today proven, that the meat is better than the vegetables. Now, this was in 1965. Today, the science, and there are so many studies, they're saying the protein or the fat from the animals and the protein from animals is not as healthy as the vegetarian protein. It's actually, the animal protein will cause a lot of blood pressure and cholesterol and blood diseases and all this, and it's been proven by the science that the vegetarian is better than the animals. So this now contradicting the theory that was given in 1965. Which one is correct? We don't care which one they are talking about in the science. They are contradicting themselves. Whichever one is correct, we do not care, and we don't need to impose this and involve Quran in this ayah, because the ayah of the Quran does not talk about the vegetarian or the meat itself. Allah says, whatever food that I have given you before, it was better for you. And that's it. Allah says it was better for you. How is better? In which way is better? Did not say. He said this is better for you. Might be better for Bani Israel only. It could be. But Allah said it's better. The Quran did not involve in this discussion whether vegetarian is better than the meat or meat is better than vegetarian. Did not involve in this discussion at all. And the ayah does not say that at all. So why do we have to involve Quran in something that it's not actually meant to be? And now, if you want to use this new understanding of science today, you would prove that the Quran is wrong. And that's the dangerous side of involving Quran in some scientific field that it's not meant to be. And none of the ayat that specifically given a scientific meaning. And as we said, the ayat of the Quran were revealed in Arabic, and they would have to be understood in the Arabic language. And you cannot twist the ayat to try to find something in the ayat and try to match it to the reality or to scientific theory, and that theory might be wrong. And when it changes, people will start like having doubt in Quran. This is very dangerous side, and that's why we're saying the right understanding of the Quran has to be based on the Sahaba understanding, and how did they understand it, and how the Arabic people understood the Quran. Now, are there, as we mentioned, are there some hints and lighting in the Quran and highlight on some scientific facts? Yes. Now we can use the scientific facts that matches the Quran, that are facts, and they are 100%, and they match the Quran, and no way they contradict the Quran. Yes, because Allah mentioned some of those ayats in the Quran that they are really facts, and it matched the reality as is. And there is no way that they could be changed, and they are definitely true. This is, as we said, this is fact. The science is fact from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because science is basically observing the reality as is. So, observing that reality based on the scientific fact that matches the ayat of Allah, That's nothing wrong with it. But don't try to involve in the Quran in a field that it's not clearly mentioned in the Quran or talking about that field. So that's why we need to be very careful, and we have to use these kind of like guidance on how to use or understand the meaning of the ayat. Now, another thing, and I probably will conclude with that. The Quran it talks about the unseen as well, and there are some, and we start hearing today that some people trying to try to understand this unseen from the scientific perspective, and they try to twist the people and try to manipulate the meaning, the understanding of this, like the science could tell you what could happen in the unseen. One example here, they were trying to study what happened to the person after he died, and what he could see and what he cannot see. First of all, this unseen, no one can tell you what's going to happen in the unseen except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we cannot take anything about the unseen except from Allah, from a definite source of information, which is from the Quran or the Sunnah Mutawatir or the Qat'i Sunnah. So anything about the unseen, we cannot take it from any other source. The science have nothing to do with the unseen. So we cannot take anything, even if the science try to get involved in the unseen, we'll tell them, you are, this is not your field, this is not your area, so you should not be involved in this, and we'll never take anything from you because this has nothing to do with the science. So anything based for the unseen, like the Jannah and the Nar and the Yawm al-Qiyamah or the Malaika or the Jinni, anything of this, it cannot be taken from any other source but from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or His Messenger through the correct hadith and the right sahih hadith only, not even the hadith da'if. So these are just a very quick guidance. I just wanted to emphasize on it here today to make sure that we understand the Quran in the right way, and that's why I wanted also to clarify why we focus and highlight so much on this theory today, because it's really dangerous and it's been widely spread out in the Muslim land, unfortunately, and it's been affecting a lot of Muslim minds and causing a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but it causing some Muslims to leave Islam completely and to be actually among the mulhideen, among those atheists who don't believe in the Quran or even in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I would stop here inshallah, and next week will be a new discussion with the new ayat, and we'll see you inshallah next week. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair.